Oh. Hi there and welcome to the another edition of Red Army TV. I've got two great guests on the sofa and loads to talk about. I've got Daz Murrell, both been on the show before, so it's great you know what we're doing. Daz Murrell out on the right and Matty on the left hand side. Gentlemen, how are you? Good to be back.
Good.
Yeah, good to be back, brilliant.
Good, yeah, good, especially after the weekends.
Loads to talk about, and the first thing I want to talk about before we go into obviously the previous game is, I know we're in back end of February now, however I want to go back to the transfer window because there's been a lot of social media talk over the last couple of days about our transfer window, and now a lot of fans had a lot to say about our transfer window, but with the way Mikel's playing now, Daz, was it a good transfer window?
Well, it depends where you're looking at. If you look at a fan's point of view, you always want players in, don't you? But if you're looking from a structural point of view in terms of the club financially, yeah, it's been a massive coup getting Mikel in. From a fan's point of view, you always want certain players in. You want to get the players who've got the pace, what we're missing. So from a fan's point of view, no, we could have had a better window. But from the club's point of view, they haven't brought any players in that, you know, if the players were available, they would have come in. It's as simple as that. And since Pulis has come in, that's what I get. He's not willing to waste money, like on Balassi and them scenarios. You know, I think it would have been a waste of money the way he got on a Villa. You know, he had 2 or 3 good games, so I think it was all right. We're doing all right.
I mean, Matty, certainly, and again, it's only my opinion, mate, but he for me, he always looks the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, I'll be one of the ones that when we signed him, I was like, John Obi Mikel, we've got like 4 midfielders in that position. It seems like a waste, but watching him play, I mean, he's like I say, he's the Rolls Royce. He is head and shoulders the best player in the Championship, and he's only 60% fit. And I think us getting Mikel in the way he plays, it's freed up other people on the pitch. I don't know if it's come by luck. I don't know how it's. If Pulis has looked at it and thought we'll drop him in, it'll do it. But Mikel dropping in there, and it's freed up Besic, we freed up wing. Yeah. It's for me. I said we didn't need strikers. I've come on here before. I said we didn't need strikers. We need more attacking players. But Mikel coming in, it's freed up the attacking players we had, because I say Besic, I know we'll go on about him earlier, but I lost count amount of times he used to come back and get off the keeper, done my head in.
Have you noticed since Mikel's come in the team though, she switched to 2 strikers? So with Mikel in there, does he trust the midfield more, and now to play 2 strikers?
I think Mikel obviously came with that tag of the defensive midfielder. Well, fellas, you know better than I do that we've got an abundance of defensive midfielders at our club. However, for me, every pass he looks for is a forward pass.
Yeah, 100%.
He very rarely goes back just because he has to. It's a forward pass.
He's got it in his locker, and to pick a pass out.
I think, you know, he's certainly one, regardless whether you know, on touch wood that we go up. If we don't, I would love to see him at the club either way, because I think he's an absolute asset.
The way he's played at the minute, I think there'll be many suitors abroad, Premier League.
My last point before we go on to our last game, Boro QPR, I've got to mention it to you because it's constantly in the press, is the Downing saga. Daz, what do you make of it?
It's who's put that clause in the contract, first of all. Secondly, I can see where they're both coming from. Stewie Downing, you know, get the extension. If we do get promoted, I would be giving him an extension on his contract, and I would play him. I'd start him last game of the season because he deserves it. So we've got to give him some respect. But at the same time, you know, give a player a year extension on 35 grand a week or whatever he's on in the Championship. I can see where the club's coming from. It's a stupid situation that we're in, and Pulis will probably, you know, be gutted about it. But from both points of view, I think, you know, the club and the player being professional about it, just crack on. And hopefully come the end of the season, if we do go up, I would give him a year extension.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Daz, because I honestly think that, and it's only my opinion, but I think he is a peerless player, Downing. I think in his first ever press conference, his words were, "I'd love 11 Stewie Downings on that field."
He started in most games anyway.
Would he be a starter in the team now, though, Matty?
Well, he'd have to play wing back to get in the game, and I don't. Savile and Lawson have done nothing wrong, to be honest, playing wing back. For me, Stewie, again, we only see from the outside. We can't say like what happens in the club. But if it was me, if I was Stewie Downing, I'd be like, well, just pay me whatever it is. I just want to play, and we'll sort it at the end of the season. That's what I'd say. Because let's be honest, he's not out of cash. Do you know what I mean? He's made a fortune in football, and rightly so. He's a great player. But would I want to be sat on the bench every week and play? No, I wouldn't. I'd want to be playing. And Stewie wants to play.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Does,
I don't know the ins and outs of the terms of the contract, but I'm only saying if it was my point of view, I'd be saying to Steve Gibson, what do you want to pay me? Let's do it for this last 6 months, and then we'll talk about the end of the season. Let's just play some football. Yeah. It's only affecting Boro at the minute. The only people who's losing out now is Stewie and Boro.
The big problem for me is how quiet the chairman is. You know, he hasn't come out and spoke about it. Yeah. And I suppose Neil Bowser is the guy who, I suppose, wrote the contract. But for me, was a bad bit of business in the first place, because, you know, if you're going to bring a player back and to put that on him and then hold it against him, it's not the player's fault, is it? He's pulling his puddings out for the
type of terms get put in the contract, though. Considering we bought it from the Premier League, you've got to understand it from when we bought him. He was a Premier League player, playing well, touted back for England, he was the number 10 for West Ham, playing superb. So them type of little perks you put in people's contracts are the reason they'll say, well, yeah, I'll get to that age and I can still be on that good money. I'll get the terms of the contract.
Did the club put this in his contract, or Stewie Downing request this in his contract? We don't know, do we?
We don't know, but I mean, I agree with you, Matty. I think it's the way to pull a player back from the Premier League is to make incentives.
He was on the verge of the England squad.
Yeah, it's to make incentives. And
you can't forget that. He was. When we signed him off Sam Allardyce, his assists were the top in the Premier League.
I mean, I think it's a worse place without him. Because, I mean, you've probably seen me on the show before, fellas, that I'm a big Stewie fan. You know, I don't think he's ever done anything bad for the club. He's always, you know, wears his heart on his sleeve. Does he have some bad games? Doesn't every player? But for me, it's a crying shame. Anyway, let's get back to more pressing matters. Boro 2, QPR 0. Great win, fellas. Daz, have we turned the corner at home?
Well, to put the QPR game was the easiest game I've seen all season.
They were the worst I've seen all season. They were
we kick off about going to away games where we have poor performance. Them QPR fans after that match, Jesus Christ, they were so poor. But we just dominated the game, got an early goal, which was nice to see. Just never ever looked in trouble. Second half, you know, we sat off and they'd created a couple of chances. They were through. What's he called? Ex-Newcastle striker was through on goal. Anyway, they were through on goal, so they had a couple of chances near the end. Last 20 minutes of matches a game, we seemed to fall apart a little bit, but an easy win. Very easy game.
That's the thing for me, creating chances.
Yeah. I mean, they looked like a team what had been on a run. I mean, it's now 70 feet, but they looked like a team what hadn't won in 6, didn't they?
A lot of teams come to Riverside look the same, though. We just look like it's like a sit-back type of game, but what pleased me, and they say Blackburn again was superb. I've never watched a game like that in a long time where we just looked like we were going to score every attack, and at QPR the same. We actually looked dangerous.
The system.
It works. I don't think he's got lucky on the system. We fell on a system that is lucky, let's be honest, because if we hadn't lost Flint and Ayala and then Friend, I don't think he would have played that system. Well, he wouldn't, would he? Why would he put House and Saville at wing backs? It would never have happened.
On the Monday night, I was listening on Ian, I made a comment about our centre-backs, and I think the way that we want to play the game, our centre-backs, if you're going to play 3 at the back, your centre-backs need to be good on the ball. I think Flint being out the side with this injury is a blessing in disguise, because there's 3 centre-backs now, Dale Fry at left centre-half, Shotton and Ayala, or if it's Friend who comes in as well, really comfortable on the ball and carry the ball into midfield. And I think that's why you're seeing a bit of more attacking football, because we're keeping the ball better, moving it about. And I think it's
not a formation, and we know this by every club Tony Pulis has been to. It's not a formation he likes.
He's tried wing backs a few times. To be honest.
Yeah, he has. He normally likes to play the one guy up front, doesn't he, with another guy off him, and 4 big centre halves across the back, like he's always done. What was good for me, fellas, is how good has Johnny Howson been, Matty?
Yeah, he has. He's fell into wing back role, but I've always loved John Howson. I said, I know you're going to go out about captain. I'd have had him as captain, John Howson, because he's captain material for me. Never puts a foot wrong. You never hear from any bad word from him. Always gives 100%. But I don't think you could play him. I think you could play John Howson goal. He'd have a good game. It's the way.
Well,
the way
that leads me straight into it, because I've got in my notes there. Ayala captain, Daz. Did that surprise you?
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I didn't even. Do you know the game passed us by and it was that easy? I didn't even notice that. You know that he got the captaincy. I don't think it matters. To be honest with you,
I just thought obviously he'd come back from the sending off.
Yeah.
He's always got one of them tackles in him, hasn't he? Penalty away or getting sent off. He's got one of them in him. Bear in mind, he's an experienced player. And I've never ever seen the armband being given to him when our captains go off.
There was only 3 options really for captain when you look at it realistically: Randolph, Ayala or Howson. He ain't going to give it Fry because he's too young, and the rest of the lads have come in and they're not really been there that long. So they were the only 3 options for me. But does it matter who the captain is?
No, I don't think it matters. Well, not especially when you're 2-0 up. I don't think it matters. Or did he start the match with? Was he starting the match as captain?
Yeah, he started. Right. Yeah, he started.
I didn't even notice.
Obviously, we're going to come on. We'll talk a little bit after the break, but we're going to chat about Fletcher, because obviously, as he had a really good crack at the whip, Blackburn, and obviously the game here, he's had some good games. We're going to come back and have a chat about that formation after the break. Join us after the break on Red Army TV. We'll be chatting more Boro. So I'll quit. Welcome back to Red Army TV. I've got Daz and Matty on the sofa with us. Fellas, just before the break there, we were just chatting about, obviously, Boro 2, QPR 0. Great home win. Won at a canter, really, like you said, Daz. But I just want to, before we finish off, I just want to speak about Fletcher. We mentioned him just before the break. I, like you, Matty, I thought he played his part against Blackburn. I thought he looked really good. Has he give the manager a headache?
Without doubt. Fletcher plays a different role to Hugill. When we play 2 front normally with Hugill's more like a battering ram type player, and he'll take the fight at the centre half and maybe play off.
You'd say like a Pulis player, type player, wouldn't you?
But I say everyone was shocked when he started against Blackburn. I was shocked as well. But after 5 minutes, he wants to get the ball down. He's quick. he wants to get at the defender, and I think it worked them two. To be honest, the last 2 games look like they can work together. So he lacks confidence, and he wants.
Yeah.
I think he's very eager to score. Showed against Blackburn, he shoots. His decision making was poor, but you can't blame him for that, because if I'm Fletcher, I'm thinking I've got a chance here. If I score a goal, I'm in. So that's the only thing I'd say is decision making.
I couldn't agree more. I was just going to say against Blackburn, there was a couple of times you could have slipped in, and he didn't. He took the shots from the outside the box.
Impress, but you can't blame him for that.
No, he's taking his chance.
He hasn't played a lot of football.
He's played a lot of the 21s and 23s.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, first team football.
I know it's different.
At the end of the day, you've got to get in that rhythm, haven't you? And then the decision making right when you're making them passes. I don't think he's the answer at the moment. He's full of confidence, so I would play him. He's doing okay. He scored a good goal, so I'd definitely start him at Wigan without a doubt.
I was just going to say that, Daz. I mean, I've read a couple of social media and a couple of blogs. Some people tending to think it was sort of not a miss-hit goal, but normally a shot like that from the position he took the shot normally goes across the keeper. Obviously, it went to the top right-hand corner on the keeper's near side. Where do you sit on it? Do you think it was meant, or do you think it was?
No, I think he's definitely. Well, it wasn't a cross, because you can tell away target. That's all you got to do. Sometimes as a striker, all you got to do is just hit the target. And if you hit the target, you can't complain really. Exactly, yeah. Do you know? So he's took it on. He's surprised the keeper, but I think he's definitely took the shot on. Yeah,
so we think he's gone for it, and
he's had a shot. He's hit the target. You can't leave him out again. If you leave him out against Wigan, it sends out the wrong message, because if you're in, you're scoring goals, and for me as a striker, you can't. I'll take a keeper with a clean sheet. You wouldn't let a keeper with a clean sheet and then put him on the bench.
No.
So what's the difference with a striker?
My last point, fellas, from QPR is more Besic.
Yeah.
Now it's quite evident, and we've spoke many times on the show. He hasn't had the comeback. Like he was on loan at us last season. He came, he's like a breath of fresh air, He hasn't had that same impact. However, I thought at Blackburn and QPR, it was the more Besic of all, Daz.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think just going back a few weeks ago at Newport, something happened with the fans. There was a bit of disagreement. I think now we can see the main culprit of that, because he's not even making the bench, that one player, which is Rudy Gestead. Obviously, there's something gone on there. I think Besic, he's in and out the team. I think since that situation, it seems to be like he's had a chat with the manager, and do you know what? He's rolled his sleeves up, because he's grafting. On Saturday against QPR, he was all over the pitch like the Besic of old. Like I say, Mikel's freeing him up. He's pushing forward with wing. When Mo Besic drives with the football, instead of holding on to it for 3 seconds and then playing a sideways pass, when he picks the ball up and drives forward, he's very, very good. Same as Johnny Housen. But that's Besic's best attribute for me, is when he travels with the football. So Mikel's now pulling the strings. Besic is able to pick the ball up, start running at defences, and I think that's his game. And obviously the fans are reacting to that, and I think now we're back on the more Besic of last season.
Mikel's the reason for me. It stinks him up. John Obi Mikel is the whole reason the former Besic comes, because he knows he doesn't have to worry. I think maybe beforehand Besic was a bit worried about losing the ball. I'm not saying Clayton's a bad player, but I always saw Besic. The amount of times I saw him come and get it off Randolph on the edge of our box, it was doing my head.
But sometimes,
but Mikel does that now. He doesn't have to worry about it, because he just says, "Mikel, you do all that stuff, and I'll just sit big in the ball and I'll damage."
But how many times as an attacking midfielder have you seen Boro this season, and the ball comes into Clayton and he can't see a forward pass?
Yeah, because
so eventually your midfielders start dropping deep, getting the ball.
Mikel's the reason for Besic.
We've spoke on many occasions, fellas, and not just home games. It seems to be more home games than it does away games, but we tend to, in the second half, sort of drop off a little bit. Now, is that Pulis telling us to control a game?
100%.
Or is it a player mentality thing?
Oh, it's 100% just manage the game. He talks about it in his every single time he has his after the match, he gives his conference, and he'll say, we didn't manage the game too well, or we managed the game brilliantly. So that's just, we've got a rock solid defence there and midfield. So if we're 2-0 up, just see the game out, just manage the game. And 100% is Pulis saying manage the game. But he also did say, we went a bit too safe after the QPR game. And he did say went a bit too safe. Or I think he said this, QPR went a bit too safe. We could have carried on attacking a bit. So it's a bit of both. The manager's saying control the game, and I think the players sometimes sit too deep.
You don't think we're at a position of the season now, though, where if that was like 6 or 7 games of the season, we'd have probably went out second half and had another go. But now, you know, you're at the business end of the season now. You go at one, you look at a chance, you think, oh, we can have a break here, we push on, and then we get caught in the break and they score 2-1. Then the game changes to 2-0. Everyone knows in football the next goal paramount in it at 2-0.
Tell you one thing as well.
I don't think we need to worry about it at 2-0.
Just a quick one about the QPR game while we're still on it. I was quite surprised by the crowd that was there on the QPR game, because I thought we were going to see a lot less fans. I think it was, what was it, 22,000?
22,500, yeah.
But I was expecting maybe under 20.
Well, there was far less QPR fans than we've ever seen at the Riverside, by the way.
Maybe, what, 400?
And I think that's because of the run they're on. Fellas, we're going to have a look at Wigan very shortly, but I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Obviously, we've got a bus going to the Aston Villa game. If you would like to book on our Aston Villa Red Army coach, obviously you can contact us through the office, give us a ring, or you can. The best place is to go to the redarmy.tv website and click on travel, and I'm sure you can get yourself on that coach there. Also, fellas, I just want to quickly talk about Fans for Parky. For those of you, if you haven't seen it, it's all over obviously social media. All the Boro fans are trying to raise some money for Parky. Boro legend, really. You know, 86, my team, if you like. You know, growing up, the 84 to 86 team.
I was at the do with him on the 86.
And for me, they're trying to raise some money for Parky. So if you want to donate or anything like that, just click on Fans for Parky on the GoFundMe page, and you know, give us as much as little as you can to help the Boro fans. Fellas, let's look ahead to Wigan.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've looked at the running, and I think we've got a bit of a good running. You know, so the games that are coming up, when I look at the other teams around us stumbling this week, and I think we've got a chance to sort of gain a bit of momentum. Daz, I'll start with you. Do you think we're going to start with the same team down at Wigan?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know what the situation is with George Friend.
We think he's not going to be available for the Wigan game. We think Ayala's going to probably stay in. Same
team. No reason to change it unless there's any knocks. You know, you've had a good break, so yeah, 100%. Definitely play the same side.
I agree.
Full of momentum at the minute.
There's no reason to change it to win. It's 1-2 on the spin. You don't change. Some of that's working. But I've got the two concerns I've got is if we lose the game, does you try and revert back to source because we've lost the game? And
why be negative?
I'm not being negative, I'm just saying...
We're going to win.
We'll win the game, we'll win 4-0, but I'm just saying...
I'll ask you that prediction in a minute, but we'll keep that on record.
You've just got it. I think we'll smash them, but you've got to keep the same team. I think we'll definitely beat Wigan. It's a massive game, considering Leeds are playing on Friday against West Brom. You know, and they're poor at the minute, Leeds. Absolutely diabolical. I fancy them getting turned over. You know, if they even draw, we can go 2 games and Hampton take over them.
Gives us a momentum.
Could make Wigan a massive
One
game.
thing I would like, I've been thinking about with the team, I don't know if Pulis will try it, but we haven't seen much of Van Lapara. Now, he's gone with these two up front. Now, Fletcher gives us something different, bit of pace in and around Aston Bolonga. I wouldn't mind seeing what Van Lapara is like up and around Aston Bolonga. I'd start with the same team, but just to see how, because he can give us a bit of pace up top.
Doesn't look like to trust him. I mean, he's
I'd like to see a bit more of him. We as fans, we've never seen enough of him, have we?
It's a strange loan signing at the minute because he had about 15 minutes at game time.
Just to talk about obviously the fans what are going down to Wigan, and obviously we're taking a coach down there, and obviously the fans. I think we sold out both sets of allocation at the minute.
Yeah.
So we're going to be taking a massive following down there.
Yeah.
So for me, I think, you know, the ball's in our court, especially with the teams around us, the way they're doing. You've hit the nail on the head with Leeds.
You've got to Leeds. There's teams up there who are struggling at the minute. But if you want to go up in this league, you've got to beat Wigan away.
Consistency is key.
You have
at this stage of the season.
19th in the league, really struggling. Can't score many goals. They've lost the main striker anyway, in Will Grigg. If you don't beat Wigan, then but I can't see any. The way we play at the minute, especially away from home, with a joint top team away from home, I can't see anything other than a comfortable.
Well, fellas, we're getting to that part of the show again. It runs out so quickly when we're having a good chat. Yeah. But Daz, prediction?
2-0 Boro.
2-0 Boro. I'm going to go with 2-0 Boro.
I'm going to go 4-0.
We've got you on record at 4-0, which is great.
I'm going for it.
Fellas, thanks very much for joining me in the studio. Join us next week on Red Army TV. Come on, Boro.